Hi all, Rick here, with a chance to sit down and chat with the developers of Star Trek Online and share some thoughts on STO, speaking with Thomas Marrone, the executive producer, and with Mike Fatum, senior community manager, to also get their thoughts on the canon, setting, and future of the game.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. First of all, I just wanted to say, and I don't know if you want to start recording before I say this, but really been enjoying the lore videos you did on the Chimerans and the
Thanks.
and Belly of the Beast and all that stuff.
Thanks. Yeah,
Christopher G.
I
It's
should,
really cool stuff.
thank
I
you.
should go check that out.
Yeah, I saw I got retweeted by, I think Flo retweeted that as well. And she put an attachment. Oh, the message said something along the lines of, it's a great interpretation of sort of events leading up until the Chimerans. But me being me, I looked at that and was just like, interpretation. Not accurate.
So it's all wrong.
Something's wrong. What did I get wrong?
I don't think I didn't notice anything you got wrong.
No, I mean,
maybe
I did double check as well afterwards as well to be like, I think it's right as far as everything that's been revealed.
I'm sure it's one of those things where, Flo just picked a word and then our brains went immediately to, oh God, it's wrong.
Yeah, it's never done. It's never finished. Yeah, no, thank you. That means a lot. I'm glad I did good enough.
It was really cool, man. We should have paid you for it, frankly.
I mean, if you want to, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'll say this.
Renee smashing the unmute button.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just think Rick would like to hear this because I watched it and the first question I asked was, I went to ARC to our marketing department, was like, did we pay him for this? Like, it's really good.
No, I was not paid. I do it for fun.
Well, it's just but it's not. It's more than that, right? It's the professionalism and the thoroughness of it. It was just super high quality. So, fantastic work.
Thank you. I guess that leads me on to the first thing. Last time we spoke, you mentioned you'd be happy to like check back in after I'd played Corruption because we hadn't played it by that time going in, and it was still up and coming. And you said it'd be fun to check in after I'd actually played it to get sort of like a vibe check on what I thought and stuff like that. And having now played it and gone through and met Z and other characters like that and said goodbye to Z again, I have just a couple of questions. Who made the Chimerans and are they okay?
No.
Are you
no.
Sorry, are you talking about like who the idea of the species?
The idea, where did it come from?
Okay. Yeah, no. So this story arc has been kind of in planning for a really long time. I mean, since like 2022, I think is when we started working on this. And it really is a brainchild of former creative director Al Rivera. And he worked a lot with our writer at the time, Paul Reed. And and I can say this part now because we're finally getting to the point of the story where this is actually happening. But they planned out this epic Borg multiversal war where you have different factions of Borg from different universes vying to be, to control the multiverse and to be the kind of the ultimate expression of their version of perfection, right? Like every Borg faction that we've come up with has a different perspective on what perfection is, and we learn a lot about the Borg and their relationship to the idea of perfection from Seven and her time in Voyager, and obviously the Borg Queen and her monologue with Data and First Contact. So it was fun when we were plotting that out at the very beginning. You kind of have to go and look at, okay, well, if you're doing all these different Borg factions, obviously you want them to be different from each other. And so Al wanted to do, well, the Mirror Borg's an obvious one, right? Borg from the Mirror Universe are more scary, they're more evil. The R Borg from the Prime Universe are consumers, but they're not morality, they don't have a function in morality. They're just sort of assimilating people because that's their desire, right? But the Borg from the Mirror Universe are like most things in the Mirror Universe are like actually, sadistic, right?
Militant
like that's part
of
their
sort of how they they act. They seem more organized and more like a
Right.
structured army almost as well.
Right, yeah. And then we started as we progressed through the arc, we started adding, the Control Borg faction for that Iconian alternate universe. But the two main new Borg factions that we wanted to add to facilitate the story arc to really to kind of to execute on it were kind of opposite sides of this spectrum of chaos and order. So I mean, there's a line that the Borg Queen has in First Contact where she says, "I bring order to chaos," right? And if you think about the Borg that we know from Next Generation and Voyager, there is this weird relationship they have of, you know, up close, it's chaotic. It's a bunch of pipes and tubes and implants and stuff. But then you zoom out and it's the hive, the perfection of the hive, right? It's
Yeah.
like you look at an ant colony and you see there's a structure to it that that does almost feel purposeful. Well, the Borg are the same with their cubes and their spheres, very geometric, very very orderly, right? At a high level. And so that, as we're talking about these different Borg factions, that spectrum of order and chaos became sort of a really easy way for us to establish foils or contrasts to our Borg, right? Because our Borg are the main characters, right? When I say R, I'm talking about the Prime Universe Borg.
Yeah.
They're the Borg that everybody loves and is the fan favorites, the nostalgia, all that, right? And so we needed to make new versions of the Borg that were in contrast to them. And so on one side of that spectrum were the Etherians, which were always meant to be kind of inspired by V, of this like alien race that seems like they're
We're here to help
benevolent.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but it turns out that they're Borg.
Yeah.
And then on the other spectrum, so that they're on the order side of, like, the far end of the order side of the spectrum, right? And then at the other end is chaos, right? That's the opposite end of the spectrum, is chaos, and that's where the Chimerans land.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll say.
and so so a lot of where we ended up in terms of why we made choices about the Etherians and bringing the Iconians into it versus the Chimerans and bringing the Trill into it. The Trill thing was really about telling a story about the Trill, which we'll do more of. We started to do that with Esri, right? As the storyline progresses, we'll do more of that. But really, the look of the Chimerans was designed by former senior concept artist Hector Ortiz, and he did a phenomenal job of making something very steeped in that Borg body horror, but something that looks different from normal Borg, that takes it a step further.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came from early conversations and trying to figure out, because Al wanted, he looked at regular Borg as slow zombies, right? And he wanted fast zombies for the Chimerans, and that's sort of where that conversation started. And so, and we looked at things like Edge of Tomorrow, like those aliens. Skyline was another alien invasion movie with sort of biomechanical aliens that are very fast and scary. So there's a template there of the fast zombie, the fast zombie alien. But when Al was talking to me about that, I didn't want to just do that to a point where it felt like a generic interpretation based on all those other things we'd already seen. And so I came back with, well, let's do it, but let's incorporate pieces of alien races everybody's familiar with, so that it still feels uniquely Star Trek and Star Trek Online. And that's when we started to bring in the Zinkethi and like the Tholian limbs and Herc limbs and
Okay.
and yeah, and the body horror stuff really
Just
kicked up a notch
the
because
human hands grafted onto the front of the
yes, exactly.
amalgamation, but just there.
Yeah. And and that really came from, like, we want that fast zombie look, but we want it to have an identity that you can immediately see and recognize,
Yeah.
and like giving them all very different silhouettes, so that like you're you're like, oh, that's a lieutenant, that's a captain. You know, like it's good for gameplay, but it also really gives the critter group a lot more character.
It came across really well. Did like a fantastic job of like seeing the reveals of every form as it gradually got introduced to that storyline as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the team did really well, in addition to all the stuff that Thomas was saying about, design language and making them recognizable, is like the first time you see a Chimeran, your immediate response is, what the hell is that? Like, not like, oh, that's an interesting design, but like it really causes a primordial terror that is only enhanced by, why did you put a baby skull on the Velociraptor, Thomas? No one has given me a satisfactory answer to this.
Well, that's again, that's kind of the we were looking at them as like Frankenborg, right? They didn't just implant you with biological or mechanical parts, but they're also messing with your biological bits, and that felt really terrifying and threatening. And it also felt irreversible, right? In a way that, like oh yeah, Picard got de-assimilated, 7 of 9 got de-assimilated, but you can't unassimilate somebody if you chop off their head.
Yeah. That's a good one. So,
I don't know. Give Scotty about 10 minutes. And,
props to the whole Chimeran horror angle. That was so good. It was such a like creepy mission. So checking back in on how I feel after playing it. Yeah, I've got heebie-jeebies. It was
awesome.
They were brilliantly terrifying in like all the right ways.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear it. And again, thank you for the great lore videos and stuff that you did covering them.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to it. I was just like, oh, I've got to talk about this. This is fun. So yeah, it's nice. Okay, when it comes to, I guess, Star Trek Online, there is, I believe, a new event starting soon, the Quick Start event, which is a leveled up character being given out for new and returning players.
Yeah. So basically what it is, we're trying to make the process as easy as possible for people who, loved STO once upon a time, and haven't played in a while, to come back, get back into the game, understand how things work, really jump in with both feet right from the start. And so the way we're doing that, we have already a character, a type of character in the game, the Jem'Hadar, that you can pick up and start at level 60 with high-end gear and stuff. But during the special event, we're giving away the premium version of those, which is the Vanguard Jem'Hadar. So you get a free character slot and a free Vanguard Jem'Hadar character. And Vanguard Jem'Hadar are a little bit different in that they have a couple more starting reputations filled out. They have what's called a pre-sponsor for their other reputations, so they can fill those out faster. They've also got some slightly different weapons and traits and things like that. They're just a slightly more better version of the character, and normally they're a purchase, but during the event you get one for free. And the nice thing is too, for established players, it's not just getting a free premium type character, but also everybody gets a character slot with that character. So if you have if like you're full up on character slots forever, like if you've got I always joke 492 alts. I think that the actual number is a bit lower than that, but if you're if you're up at that limit during this event, if you claim a Jem'Hadar Vanguard, you get a free character slot that comes with it, and you get to keep that character slot even if you get rid of the character. So if you want a new character slot, but you're not super interested in starting a new Jem'Hadar, then you still get the free character slot. You can just claim the Jem'Hadar, remove the character, and then the character slot is still there for you.
The free slot is also very enticing as well.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I was very excited when I read that. And the neat thing too about the Jem'Hadar is that you start in one of, if not the most popular storylines in Star Trek Online. You get dropped right into Victory is Life, which is our sequel to Deep Space Nine. Chase referred to it as Deep Space Nine Season 8. It's a really, really fun and cool storyline. So you get dropped right into that, and then you can also come back and start, all of your previous missions and play through those as well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're also running the quick start event is running. We're also running our Gamma recruit event. So all any new Jem'Hadar that you make, and if you run them through the tutorial and get past the tutorial, they will be Gamma recruits, which means they get extra bonus rewards. So it's a great time to make a Jem'Hadar if you haven't yet, because you will get a Gamma recruit, and then we're also putting some Jem'Hadar related things on sale for a short time. So yeah, like Mike said, it's really about giving people a very easy path to get back into the game. I know, I mean, every now and then I check out an old game I haven't played in a long time, and it's always super intimidating to be like, what does this do? What did they add? You know, and
Oh
so
man,
what
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So what's great about the Jem'Hadar is all like it's just ready to go. Everything is set up for you. It's all pre-equipped. Your ship has all the items on it. Your bridge officers are all geared out. You have all your powers on your power tray, so you can just get in and play and get used to the game again. And then if you want to go back to some of your old characters, they're still there. They're waiting for you, right? But this is a great way to break the ice,
Yeah.
and learn the ropes again. And it's a great time to check out Stowe.
Either way, you can take that back into like the older storyline and play it all from the beginning, with the exception of being the faction-specific introductions, which for me that's always been a huge lure, is just to experience more of like the Star Trek universe on a wider scale, whether that's drawn from beta canon, alpha, main continuity, prime timeline stuff. Which I guess brings me up to a question I kind of wanted to quickly throw out here. Star Trek Online has been through like multiple iterations of its own continuity. Like for a while, it was pretty much unchallenged in that 25th century timeline, and then obviously Picard comes out and is moving into that timeline, requiring things to change. And as a long time player, you notice like Star Trek Online starts including things from Picard into the continuity of the timeline, whereas previously they had Picard become like an ambassador and stuff like that in the lead up, and they had to sort of retcon, make changes. I was just wondering, like, with everything that the Star Trek Online universe seems to draw from, whether it's prime continuity and then throwing in like beta things like Captain Ezri Dax of the USS Aventine and so on, which is straight from the books, is there like a balance or a limit? Because I now feel like STO's sat quite comfortably in its okay, we are our own continuity now, but it seems like there's always an effort to try to balance what's happening in the prime timeline with drawing in Apocrypha and tying that all into like the universe. I guess my question was basically along the lines of, is that a delicate thing to sort of like balance, or is it you just get to like cherry pick bits and make a sandbox, or like how does it all come together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing with a live service game, or a game like Stowe that has been around for 15 years, is things are always changing, and the landscape of the franchise is always changing. Stowe's role with the franchise even has changed since we've actually contributed art back to the franchise with the Enterprise F and other ships for Star Trek Picard and Starfleet Academy, right? Um, and so we like with any creative endeavor, it's always kind of fluid, and we always want to be relevant. We always want to include as much as we can from the shows and from canon, right? And so we're within reason, depending on how much effort it is, we'll do our best to retcon, to embrace the new stuff that does come out, right? We added Soul Station from Picard. We had Jerry Ryan's look from the first season of Picard, and that was totally different from how she looks in Delta Rising, right? And so we try to be responsive to that, but there are other things that are just too baked in to the lore of the game for us to change, like the Enterprise F,
Like the
right?
launch date
Like
of
the
the F and its backstory.
yeah, the launch day of the F and the Enterprise G. Like we have too much. It would just be out of scope for us to retire the Enterprise F and bring in the Enterprise G to Stowe, even though that's sort of what happened in Picard. And so we haven't been able to do that. Um, but again, it is we it is also sort of subjective on what, we're balancing a lot of things. Like, do we have time to do this? If we do this, what are the domino effects to anything else that's already in the game? But we also do want to be connected. We always want to be connected with the larger Star Trek franchise, the larger story that the franchise is telling with these different shows. Between, Lower Decks, Prodigy, and Picard, we know a lot more about that era of Star Trek now than we did when we were building Stowe in 2010, right? Like, the assumption back then was that that era of Star Trek was over, that we would never go
Yeah.
back to post TNG, post Voyager, because it was going to be Kelvin timeline from here on. Like, that was the direction that the franchise was going to go back when Stowe started, and that's why Stowe got sort of ownership or whatever custodianship of the Prime timeline, because the Abrams movies were the reboot for the franchise,
Yeah.
and then, oh well, if you want to see what happens in that post TNG Voyager era, that's, you can go play Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
That's their thing. So yeah, so there's no like pat answer for this, but I think it's just things have changed a lot since Stowe started, since Stowe was conceived, and certainly Stowe's relationship with the franchise and with the rest of Star Trek and the direction of the franchise as a whole has changed a couple times.
Oh,
And
quite
so
often, yeah.
we're just doing our best to stay relevant, to respond to that, excuse me, as much as we can.
I was just going to say, I think one of the things that Thomas probably wouldn't say about himself and the team, but the team working on Star Trek Online are, all the kind of people who, let's say, would be upset if a ship had the wrong number of Bussard collectors in the show or something like that. They're very, very focused on the details and respect for the canon of Star Trek, even as it's changing constantly. And so I think, people who cared less might be tempted to just be like, well, fine, we'll make our own and no, I can't say that on an interview.
With future
But like,
output.
yeah, exactly. But the team is really, really focused on being true to Trek and all of Trek. It gets talked about as being, a Star Trek theme park a lot, where, like Thomas mentioned, we have both versions of Seven of Nine in the game. So if you want to go hang out with Seven of Nine, as you know, remember her from Voyager, you can go do that in Delta Rising. If you want to go hang out with Seven of Nine, as you now just met her from Picard and just Picard, you can go do that as well and go do some cool missions with that version of Seven. So we are probably definitely our own like timeline now, but we're also going to be constantly making sure that what we do works with everything else.
I guess it offers a great way to be able to take what worked from across the timelines, again, whether that's Prime or books, and just throw them all in and give it out to people who just want to play with, well, like the Aventine from a book, or want to see what an adventure with Hugh might be like, despite the fact. Spoilers.
Well, I think that the thing is that, like Mike said, we're fans too, and so we've read those books, we've played those games, right? Like, we love that stuff as much as anybody, and we are in a really unique position to bring that stuff to life in a way that, in a way that's really special. Like to hire Nicole DeBoer to come on and play as Redax, but have that version of the character from the novels, that she's matured, she's more confident, she has kind of graduated to being in command of an amazing starship. That's a cool arc for that character, and it was cool to see them do that in the novels, and it was great to be able to honor that in Stowe as well. And so, like, we want to, when we have those opportunities, we can make up our own stuff, but I also really love being able to bring all that into Stowe, because and I still want it to hang together. I don't want it to be a total mess. But we know that people out there, everybody has so many different connection points of how they love Star Trek, and they love the novels, and they love the games, and they love the shows and whatever. And so if we can continue to be not just a theme park that has rides about the TV shows, but as we also have little sections for all those other ancillary, beta canon things like us, that's a win for us too. And it's a celebration of everything Star Trek, not just what you saw on the show.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that. Like, it also helps in developing its own identity as well, because in order to, I think part of the beauty of like Star Trek Online bringing all these things together is that, like you said, in order to not make it just a complete mess and just be just a theme park, you then have to form these ideas into a somewhat coherent narrative, and that sort of becomes Star Trek Online's identity in part as well, where it does take all these ideas, funnels them together, and then what comes out is this, I don't know what metaphor I'm going for here, but I don't know, you pack it all in and you crush it out and you get a nice long sausage of MMO.
Yep, that's what it is. Star Trek Online is now a sausage, everybody.
Cool.
That's what we're using now.
Okay, that's my contribution. But yeah, no, I guess speaking of like bringing other things in as well, any chance of visiting the 32nd century or a flyable USS Athena, or maybe a building USS Athena? As it can be both.
I'm happy to say that yes, we will absolutely have the Athena in the game eventually. I won't say when, but I will say that we absolutely planned it.
Right?
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, any hero ship. I will say this: I got a bit of disappointing news from Paramount. I understand why. I was really hoping to get stuff from Scouts in the game, actually, because there are a lot of fun little like costumes and pieces of gear. But since that's a show targeted at really, really young kids, since Stowe is a teen-rated game, Paramount's not quite ready to do that for us yet.
Hey, look, Timmy here, but I'm hoping Phase on your Explorer kit now. Go fight the Chimerans.
Yeah. I hope we can do it someday. I hope we can do it someday. It's not going to happen quite yet. But I say that to say that generally every Star Trek show, I expect us to have something in the game eventually. And I hope that can be Scouts one day, but it definitely includes Starfleet Academy. So people keep an eye out for that stuff, because it is coming.
Yeah.
We want to put everything in the game except the Jaeger.
Oh, Mike, you actually haven't been read on that.
I have what? Oh no, I guess not.
Talk about it later.
All right, sounds good.
I've seen like the roadmap idea of what may be coming in the next year or so. But before that as well, there's a Beetle and Grimm's collaboration with the STO.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Beetle and Grimm are, they're a company that began. Oh, good, you do.
Oh yeah.
But I'm speaking to the hypothetical you.
Oh yeah, I bought their Curtis box set for my D&D campaign and stuff. So
heck yeah.
It's just so weird to see this crossover from Beetle and Grimm, which is in Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and then in Star Trek Online, it's just like it's always been at the periphery of like all these hobbies I enjoy, and now it's here as well.
I mean, I think it's just a company that loves being nerds and making nerd stuff. So eventually Star Trek was going to be on the list. But they make, as you said, they make high-end accessories for board games, and now they're making their own board games and tabletop experiences. And they're launching a Kickstarter very soon. May have launched already by the time this interview comes out, for 2 new tabletop experiences. One of which is a lower decks tabletop escape room. So if you've ever played like one of those, escape rooms on a tabletop, it's going to be a lot of solving puzzles and doing, storyline things to help the crew of the Cerritos escape. And then they're doing a Deep Space Nine murder mystery where Quark is accused of doing a murder in one of his holosuites, and you have to clear his name. And so the game comes with, like these beautiful maps and handouts. And I think somebody on this call may have designed a map for Deep Space Nine for that game.
Yeah, I did the promenade map for the game, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so the game comes with all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like this beautiful handcrafted night with your friends experience. And the neat thing is, because we're teaming up with them for the Kickstarter, if you back in the first 72 hours, you get a Deep Space Nine pack for Star Trek Online. And if you back at either of the tiers that gives you both games, you get a Hysperion battle cruiser from Lower Decks, which is one of my favorite ships. It's the Ren Fair planet ship that breathes fire.
Breathes fire, yeah, Space Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a good ship. I think I've done a video on that, just putting it out there. I've got a video on the Hysperion as well. Completely unexpected, out of left field, just like, oh. And then to see that they've done Star Trek stuff before as well, just like, how did I not know about this? I own some of their products for my other things.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, it was one of the first things I heard about when I got back, and I had the exact same reaction of you. Of we're teaming up with the D&D company, but why? Oh, they're making really cool things. Okay.
And just saying, and they also make Magic the Gathering stuff, and towards the end of the year, there's a Magic the Gathering and crossover as well. So maybe again. Maybe more.
We can talk about it. Maybe we can ask Wizards to make some STO cards. We can't do that. Don't hope for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll proxy them anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for like the rest of the year, I've noticed some interesting names cropping up on the roadmap. A Noble class? What? Is a Noble class starship coming up?
Yeah, that is the that is a sovereign variant. It's actually the Noble class is the variant that exists in the game right now. It's kind of it meant to be a kind of like the next step after the sovereign, I think. But it was from the launch era of STO, where all of the futuristic variants were pretty chunky and had kind of a very specific look about them. But we're remastering the Noble class, as we've done with a lot of our launch era ships at this point. There's still a lot left, but I do want to keep doing it. But the Noble class is getting a remaster, but also the remaster is free. For anybody who owns a Sovereign, it'll just replace the old Noble skin. But also, for the First Contact Today event this year, we're doing a 60th anniversary. It's the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. It's also, I think, the 30th anniversary of First Contact, the movie. And so we're doing a special version of the event this year where instead of normally it's like a set, like here's a weapon, here's a shield, here's a console, that kind of thing. This year it's a full starship. You get a full starship for free if you play the anniversary event and complete it. And that starship is a Noble refit, which is a battle cruiser. It's a Sovereign on the Sovereign skeleton. It's something that STO players have been wanting for a very long time. The Sovereign battle cruiser with a 5/3 weapons layout. And so for your viewers who don't play STO, that might not mean a whole lot, but for people who do play STO, you're finally getting a battlecruiser Sovereign. Yes, it's 5/3, and it's for free if you play the event, which we're very, very excited about.
Nice. I want to do a video on that. That's going to be fun.
I don't know if you saw, we've been, as of this recording, running teasers for the past couple of days, over this week, and so there's really beautiful render that our ship artist Keen made. Just was the solution to one of the or the prize at the end of one of the puzzles, so players just got their very first look at how beautiful this refit is. It's very exciting.
Then looking down the line, I saw there was an Orion Orchid class, which for the top of my head I can't pluck what ship that would have been from. Is it?
I'm sorry, we have to take your Star Trek nerd away.
I'm going to guess it's from Lower Decks. And
yes, and it's also actually debuted in the animated series before appearing in Lower Decks.
It's a big it's kind of got this like hunchback kind of or like linebacker kind of look to it. It's a big orange ship. I love translating Lower Deck ships to STO because they always come out so cool. Like refining the design, making it realistic, adding a bunch of detail to it. It always looks awesome, and this ship's no exception. I think you're gonna I think everybody's gonna really get a kick out of it when they see it.
Now, yeah, the Parliament and the aforementioned, what was it, Hesperian, they translated really well. So,
Yeah.
then you said the big orange chunky one. I was like, I know the one. Yeah, I remember it.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, like I say, there's a couple of other names. I'm just going to keep throwing these names at you because Damocles class. I did some googling. I was like, there's several people have, I think, like fan art created an idea of a Damocles, but I couldn't find a licensed Damocles class in any lore that I was looking at.
So the name comes from Fanhome, which they've been doing models of the new ships from Strange New Worlds and Discovery season 5, et cetera, et cetera. So this ship is from the Strange New World episode. I think, Mike, it was the Broken Circle. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And this is what they call it on screen was a crossfield, but it's not a cross. It doesn't look like it has the saucer of a crossfield class, but the back end is very different. And then it has Constitution class nacelles.
Yeah.
And so internally we called it the False Flag Crossfield because it was a ship that Klingons had built to pretend to be a Starfleet ship. To create like some sort of diplomatic incident. And so, but then Fanhome said they were releasing a model of it and they gave it the name Damocles. So we decided to go with that for our ship too, because we already had a bunch of crossfield type ships in the game. So that's what that ship is from. What I'm really excited about though is we actually did put that on we call it a skeleton or the family of the crossfields in Stowe. So that ship's going to have a lot of really cool customization options if you own some of the other versions of the Discovery.
You'll be able to mix and match chunks of the crossfield. Yeah, so basically it is a crossfield.
Yeah, it is now. It's and so like for example, one of the cooler things to do would just be, you've got like everything looks like stock Discovery, but then you can swap out with the Strange New Worlds Constitution style nacelles, and so then you have a Discovery that has a bit more of a classic like TOS kind of look to it, which is kind of cool.
That would be cool because that would kind of make it look a lot more like the original Macquarie concept art of. That was the inspiration for Discovery as well, like the TOS style nacelles on the wedge. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the grand Star Trek tradition of smashing several ships together to make a new ship.
Yep.
My first ships were that when I started playing. My first was a Sovereign Noble class, so I'm happy to see that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was the first one I sort of like played with around quite a bit. I also saw GOM2 is coming up as well as a reward.
Yeah, that'll be the ship for the summer event. We like to do the really fun, weird ships for the summer event. And GOM2 is going to be... We've wanted to do him for a long time, but one of the big reasons we didn't want to do it is it had such a unique bridge that we felt like we had to have that. It was actually Jeremy Randall he was a big proponent of making sure if we ever did GOM2 that you got that bridge. And I'm happy to say that we are going to have a unique bridge for GOM2, inspired by the way it looked in the show. So yeah, playing those like space alien cosmozoans, and GOM2 is a ship, like it's also like canon that people would fly around in him. And so that's always something. I think it's just a cool opportunity. It's a unique kind of weird looking ship. It has a really cool power, right? Like the power for GOM2 writes itself because it uses that big knockback explosion thing. And we've recreated that for the game. It looks good. So anyway, I'm probably talking a bit too specifically about it, but we're excited. It's going to be a great summer event.
I mean, I want to talk even more specifically about it because while I was going trying to figure out trying to remember what GOM2 was, I went on the Memory Alpha and found out the lovely little bit of trivia that the sounds for GOM2 were created by recording the sound designer's stomach digesting pizza through a stethoscope, among a couple other things. But so now we've got to do that in the house to recreate the sounds. Got to figure out who digests pizza the best.
That's commitment. But unironically, with all truthfulness, I have June in my notes. It says June GOM2 dash bridge question mark. So I wanted to know
Nice.
if the interior
Yay!
was going to be replicated.
We did it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for saving our butt on this interview.
Yeah.
Thanks
literally.
for not making me use the same pad answer for the 50th time.
But yeah, then there are some that are a little vague, and I probably can anticipate the answers. There's one that just says a Klingon starship. Okay, moving on.
What else does it say? What else does it say? I'm curious if you'll guess it based on what the information's in there, because there is enough information to guess it. And I will not tell you if you're right, but I'm curious if you'll guess.
I've got an idea for the following one. The following one's the Romulan one, but it's also at the same time as like a Kelvin timeline thing. Is it a Kelvin timeline Klingon vessel?
No. It should say on there what it's from.
Klingon starship from TNG and Lower Decks. My head immediately went to the the cargo hauling one that they had, but I was like, no. That wouldn't be that.
Well, anyway, think about it. That is, I think, there are. I'm curious if anybody will guess it.
Now that you've put it out there,
really,
they will make it their life's mission to guess it.
Right. Well, they solved the Noble in like an hour or something.
Yeah, both of those puzzles went down. Actually, one of those puzzles, I missed something in testing it, and there was a bug, and they figured out a way to like brute force it via inspecting elements on the website to get through.
I did see the forums,
so
I wondered what they were chatting about, because I got to it like
Yeah.
later than everyone else, and I was just reading through the Reddit thread of it being decoded and stuff. That was fun.
Yeah, I love doing that stuff.
But yeah, I am such a terrible YouTuber, because what I should have said is I can't guess it, but if you can, leave it in the comments below. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
that's what I
If
should have done.
you guess it, you have to like and subscribe.
Yes, that too.
I'm watching. My daughter is obsessed with YouTube right now, and they always do the kids YouTubers always do the silliest like and subscribe call to actions. Like it's just like, if you think we're gonna die, like and subscribe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it's wild.
I think I did a call to action once about 8 years ago, cringed through doing it, and then never did it again. And I've not done one for my own benefit since. But yeah, then Romulan Kelvin timeline ship. So that's interesting as well. And then there's just one that just says alien starship. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean, as we get further out, we wanted to, we didn't want to like go reveal everything that we're doing, but
yeah, I figured.
but I think that's listed as a TNG ship, right?
The alien one.
There's an alien ship is a TNG ship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised the first time I saw this with how much, like, how far out we were revealing, like, what ships were coming, because usually that's pretty tightly wrapped up information. So I'm really glad players get the chance to look at that.
I look forward to working out what one of the alien starships it could be. There's at least 4 it could be. Is it maybe 5 that it could be? I think in all of TNG alien starships.
No, yeah.
I mean,
just 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's canon, like it's a canon ship, and it's a canon ship that we don't have in the game yet. So.
And there's actually a small number of those, especially when you're looking back in time.
Right.
Yeah, when I first started here, before like Discovery and stuff started happening, a lot of our releases were like, you remember that ship that was in TNG for 5 minutes one time?
Yeah.
I've seen like ones cropping in from Voyager as well, like the Delta Quadrant one, and like the Hazari have their own one, the Malon ones when the tankers turned up and things like that. It is just fun to see all these ships cropping up in the game, because you can do that. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
It is fun to do. And then as well, it's like you only ever see, like, one of my favourite parts of STO starship design is when you see a starship of a species where you only ever saw like one example of what they've done, and then that idea that it's taken and goes, well, we need a couple more variations, so let's extrapolate the design, and then suddenly you've got a small fleet of intricate designs that could all theoretically be part of the wider fleet, like you did with species 8472 ships and things like that, with the large planet killer weapons and stuff like that, and an expansion upon what exists, but remaining very faithful to that development style.
Yeah, the team is really, really good at like understanding the design language of Star Trek and the design language of the individual, ships and such. It's just something that's always really cool to watch.
There's a couple of other things as well on the roadmap as well. Like I was curious about is in June there's Fleet Store updates. Does that mean like updating ships being added to like Fleet stuff, or is that like an overhaul of how some parts of the storefront are going to work?
So yeah, it means we're not quite ready to say like what exactly we're adding, but yeah, it does mean that we're adding things to the Fleet Store, and we haven't done that in a very long time. So we definitely want to celebrate that and let people know that that's coming, because I think that it's a reason to get back into the fleet system. And in a way that people I don't think have had to really, it hasn't been relevant for a long time, right? We're trying to make it relevant again for a lot of different reasons, and so I'm excited to see what people I hope that what we've got coming, it will be interesting and exciting to people.
Yeah, there's so much stuff in the game, and longtime players will really focus in on like the things that they like the best, or the things they feel they make their ships most powerful, or any one of those things. But it's nice to go back every now and then and look at this stuff that's maybe not as currently popular and make it something that people want to be a part of again.
One that I missed actually in April, the Graal class starship.
That's true. Yeah, do you remember the single nacelled wonder is coming to SBO?
Yeah, it was in the episode. It was the USS Archer.
Yeah. I didn't realize it had a.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it had a.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, it does. That's another thing that we borrowed from Fan Home. They gave it that name.
Graal. I remember Graal being a Tellarite ambassador, wasn't he? I believe. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's where the name originates.
Yeah, but it's a very cool little ship. I just got the stats in for it today. I don't know how much we're talking about that in this interview, Thomas, but
this will actually go live after.
Oh, this will air afterwards. Yeah. So I can say it's a command scout ship, which is not a class I've heard of before. I'm sure we've done them before, but it's really interesting. It's a command pilot, which I know is interesting to a lot of our like more let's say torpedo focused captains. So I'm really interested to see what the reaction to it is.
Awesome. So, is there anything else you want to add to the roadmap that I've not brought up? Anything else you'd like to leak?
Anything else we want to spoil?
Yeah.
In 2026, we will release starships.
I don't think so, Mike. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk about. I mean, the win back. We're excited to get people to come back to the game, to all of Cryptic Games. It's not just Stowe that's doing that, right? It's the whole company is doing this quick start event that we want people who haven't tried our games in a while to come check them out, and then going forward, right, this summer we've got some really cool rewards planned for the summer event, so I'm excited for people to get in and check those out once they're ready. GOM2 obviously, but also we're doing some more fun emotes. We're doing some really cool costumes. We're going to keep adding that kind of stuff to Stowe. And then in July, we've got season 36, which is our next big content update. And we're kind of nose to the grindstone on that right now. And I'm really excited to share all that stuff with you guys once we get a little closer to release, because I've said it before, but I do think it's going to surprise a lot of people what we've got in store.
Okay.
And I am very excited about season 36 and 37 for reasons I can't go into, but I'm very excited about it.
And season 36 and 37, are they continuations of the current story arc?
Thomas, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, aren't they?
Right. Yeah, okay. Exactly. It's going to surprise a lot of people.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to ask about on the upcoming schedule then, and it appears any further probing will start prompting the same response.
Right, yeah.
pretty much covers all the questions I wanted to ask about like the up and coming content, as well as thanks for answering a couple that I threw in there by myself for like the canonicity of STO and those challenges as well. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's fun answering that kind of stuff.
Curse you all for introducing Chimerans into beta canon. So
baby skull on a velociraptor. Why?
with little hands
Why?
just out there.
Yeah, with little hands. Yeah.
But yeah, no. Thanks for joining me, and that was a fun chat, and I hope we can do this again sometime. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Rich.
Thank
it's always a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Thanks again to the teams working on Star Trek Online for continuing to expand the narratives of Star Trek, and thanks once more to Thomas and Mike for making the time to join me in previewing the upcoming events and indulging my questions. They've also offered me the chance to do a giveaway for Star Trek Online across its multiple consoles, so keep an ear out for that in the near future. And once again, thanks to the STO team for setting up this interview. I've been Rick, and until the next one, goodbye.